Hello, good morning. Welcome into another episode of Good Morning NASDAQ. You are live right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel. You got Don Master Mateo, Mike Huddie Hudson here on the 13th day of June, year of our Lord 2024. We have not a jam-packed show today because there are not very many gappers, no real big crazy gappers, kind of to be expected as the market kind of shifts and momentum is kind of dry right now. Watch lists are definitely depleted a bit, still sitting back, waiting for runners to ignite something new, something fun, something exciting. How are you doing this morning, Huddy?
I'm okay. Obviously, more excited to do these shows when we actually have gappers to talk about. Today, just kind of sad coming to market open. Like I kind of been all week. There's just no volatility in small cap, so it's just not fun.
Yeah, it is sad when you wake up and I don't look at the gappers until like right before we go live, and I have to click this tab, and then I look and I'm like hoping to see triple digits, a couple 100%ers, just something that has potential. Trying to scan at nights these days. That's how you know the market gets slow, is when I start scanning at night, trying to look for stocks to put on a watch list to see what ran that day. Because generally my watch list can be created by the biggest movers, and they're pretty obvious because everyone's talking about them. But when you kind of run out of that and no one's even really talking about like GME, that's still holding up in the 25, 26s. We'll see. Summer market, summertime. This is the first time it's really felt like summer, and it's been summer. So it's just about sitting back, waiting for those movers to come back, and making sure that when you do have a good opportunity, that you don't swing and a miss, and that you take advantage of it, because those are the moments that you continue to grow during summer months. But like I said, welcome in. This is Good Morning NASDAQ. This is our pre-market prep show where we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 8:45 a.m. We like to talk about the gappers, the runners, the biggest movers in small cap land, talk about what we like to look at the first time we pull up a stock. We look at the news, the catalyst, the fundamentals, the dilution, the share structure, the daily chart, support and resistance, all that good stuff. And even if we don't have any big gappers today, we'll still talk about a few. And then if we have time towards the end, we do like to answer some questions, talk about any tickers you guys find interesting, and let you know if we find them interesting as well. So without further ado, make sure that you hit that thumbs up button, give it a little bit of love. Make sure you have right now if you haven't. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you want to learn more about us. We have posted a couple cool long-form content videos over the past few weeks. I know Kyle's is out, mine's out, kind of hot stocks, interview style, us eating hot wings. Go check those out when we're done here. And you can learn a little bit about our past, our interests, fun stories. I know Huddies will be out soon, so be on the lookout for that. But make sure you're subscribed so you never miss any video whatsoever. All right. Where do you want to start?
Long variant. What's it called?
LGVN?
Yeah, long variant. Longeveron. How would you say that?
Longeveron.
Lingerie. It's a lingerie company. I'm just gonna round.
No, it's not.
It's probably not.
It's a biotech.
It's a biotech.
Longeveron. It's probably Longeveron.
Got it.
That sounds
Longevity,
right, doesn't it?
Longeveron. Yeah, I get it.
But they maybe probably shouldn't. I don't. If I was in that board meeting and we're picking names and how to say it, I would maybe have had a couple people from around the office, maybe a couple interns, try to read it out and see what they're saying, because I think you would have had a lot of what we just said. Biotech company, so, Longeveron, gap or runner yesterday, gapping up a little bit this morning, 33%. Biotech 5 mil float, not one that we would have talked about because it wasn't a gapper, was a mover. Was there breaking news yesterday at 9 a.m. Longeveron announces completion of successful investigator meeting of ongoing phase 2B clinical trial evaluating Lomecel B as potential treatment for HLHS, a rare pediatric cardiac disease. A couple days before that, they were presenting in a virtual conference. That's what they've been doing for a while. Dilution-wise, overall risk is medium. They have 10 months of cash left. They have a priced offering for March 2024. Warrants at 235. Couple different ones at 235 that might come into play. What do you see here? Anything?
I think you just nailed it on the head there. The warrants at $2.35. There's 5 million of them. Their current outstanding share count is 7, so it doesn't necessarily double it, but it does increase it almost double if they are to execute. And they need it. They need the cash. So probably a dilutive play, probably a manufactured pump, probably something that is orchestrated in order to get it to these prices to, accomplish their own agenda. Looks like the last time they diluted was March. That's when the share count rose from March to April, which kind of aligns with that last run that you see, April 9th, April 15th-ish area. So maybe some overhead supply there as well from that recent run. So I do think that this probably tops out before that. And I do think they're going to execute their warrants. I just, right now with the gap up, it doesn't really interest me for a personal trade, but I would be, if I was long biased, I would be kind of more like playing defense today, because I think there's a lot of reasons why this would have a red ugly candle by the end of the day.
That's all you got there. Yeah, looking at the daily chart, you can clearly see some resistance in the 420 to 550 area. Some bloody days there on decent volume. Run here started at what, 80, like 80 cents all the way up as high as 280s right now. So starting to get into that more overextended area, a little triple right now. As far as like wanting to short today, as like an overextended gap up, I don't know if Kyle has specific like criteria for that, like percent up, but I would probably want to see more than 50% up on the day at least, just because we had that stretch of like 2 years where stocks really didn't go past day 2, kind of like KITT the other day, where you get this big gap up, but it's really unable to hold up that day and go any higher for another day or so. In my own selfish reasons, I really hope that this squeezes out and goes 3, 4, 5, just so we do have a trade for potentially tomorrow. Long side, this isn't a pattern for me, so it's already kind of come and gone. Even yesterday, I wouldn't have been interested in buying, but yeah, I think this is one where I probably leave alone at the market open and just kind of see where it's at, see if it can push, see if those warrants look like they're coming into play at 235. But it spikes into previous resistance in the 420s to 550 area. Interests me more. The move would be up, 300-400% at that point, and it would, I think, warrant a much more higher quality short. Let's go back and see if there's really anything else on this chart. Not that I see. Decent run back in 2021, and then pretty much top left to bottom right, and the only real volumes from this year. So one to keep on watch. Like I said, when the market's kind of slower and we don't have as much momentum and hype, really important to make sure that you have stocks that are moving 50%, 100%, 200% on your list, especially ones that are multi-day charts for a potential play. Doesn't mean I just go into them thinking, oh, this is the only stock I see moving today, I got to trade it. But if it does find a way into my wheelhouse, then I'll be more interested. That's Longeveron.
Longeveron. I think we decided on the name. It's Longeveron.
It's definitely Longeveron. Make sure you guys are getting active over there in the Clover Trading YouTube chat. We got William in there, Wayne, Joseph, Jeff, El Jefe. Post any tickers, any comments, questions, concerns, where you're at, where you're tuning in from, how you're doing. Get that thing popping. Wayne says everyone's on vacation, at least with this weather, is gorgeous. Yeah, it's been nice here in the Midwest. And, we got Father's Day weekend.
There's a hurricane in Florida right now.
Hurricanes, huh? I'm sorry to hear that.
Not really a hurricane, but it feels like it.
All right. You got another stock for me.
We do.
What do you got?
NCI.
NCI, Neo Concept, much easier one to pronounce. Let's get it going here. Neo Concept International Group out of Hong Kong. Maybe an ex-China pump. We'll take a look. 2 million float. They're a one-stop apparel solution services provider. 14 days ago, they announced a game-changing acquisition turbocharges retail expansion. That's not a sentence. So I don't see any news to spark this move today, unless you have something else. 12 months of cash left, and they don't have any news or any fundamentals, any dilutions.
Yeah, I mean, this reminds me kind of like GDHG from yesterday, where you just have this, like the long-term chart. Clearly, there was some type of liquidation back in April, where I think they IPO'd and got crushed. They're from Hong Kong, so it's just using deductive reasoning seems like a sketchy Chinese play. Some of them squeeze really hard. Some of them dump all the way back to where they came from. GDHG dumped the whole day, and what was the one from the other week? MLGO squeezed the whole day. This one doesn't really have a huge history. So, like MLGO actually had a history of squeezing.
It had a reputation.
It had a reputation. It had behavior. It had maybe an algorithm behind it that had like a pattern that it wanted to achieve. We saw it also on Holo to some extent. And so, the question is NCI going to have it? And NCI is not one that's run before, so maybe there's not too many eyes looking at it, and that's the reason it just fades off and is nothing. It also doesn't really have a big enough gap to really interest a lot of day traders. That sub $1 area, barely trading 20 million shares. I mean, most big accounts are going to stay away from this garbage. So yeah, I think this one will just probably come and go. I really do think it'll just fade off by market open. Maybe open up at like 70 cents and dump. That's kind of my prediction for it. Either way, I have no interest in trading what it does.
Yeah, not a lot of structure here to play off of. Only been trading for a couple months. Not up a lot to interest me. I'm generally not buying day one stuff. But to the short side, I would really need more extension. 44% is not that interesting. Okay, volume this morning, almost 20 mil. Got some resistance here in the 120 area, which has been our top so far this morning. Must have been at 4 a.m. And already fading off to new lows here in pre-market. So not a ton of interest. I don't expect this to have a ton of interest, and wouldn't be surprised to see this one fade back. TJ asked, any thoughts on LGVN shorting today? Rewind about 5 to 10 minutes. That was the first stock we went over. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button as you are popping in right now as well. And we are getting close. What are we? 9 days away from our virtual boot camp next weekend. This will be maybe your only ever option to not have an in-person boot camp, because we do like doing the in-person ones, and we have plans coming for the West Coast late this year and next year. So a virtual boot camp is a great way to get in at a very low price, because it doesn't cost anything for us to put it on. And you'll still have access to the great presentations that we will provide. Saturday, Sunday, we have guest speakers like Nate Michaud, Tim Grattani will be there, Jack Kellogg, as well as Randy Walker, J-Bones, and all the Clovers. So if you want access to that, link in the description. That is next weekend, from the comfort of your own home, our very first virtual boot camp. If you want access to that, you can also reach out to Sport if you have any other questions. Next gapper of the day, STSS, some people are bringing up. Okay, this is one that ran recently. Let's go back and remind ourselves of what this one was doing. This would have definitely been on a gap scan 528.24. It's up 56% now, kind of popping out of its low end of its range. Float 20 mil. They are a medical instruments and supplies company. Let's see if they have news. 33 minutes ago, they received a $30 million purchase order for pre-fillable copolymer syringes to be manufactured at South Carolina facility, maybe. What was the news on 528? They're addressing the supply chain disruptions resulting from recent FDA recalls on China syringes. Okay, so nothing game changer here. They got an order. 5/30/2024, May 30th, they had 11 million warrants, reduced to 33 cents from 64 cents. 11 million new unregistered warrants at 45 cents issued. So that's all around what we're talking about right now. 2.8 months of cash left. They have $14 million offering in progress for 47 million shares. 64.33. They have 4 million left at 33, 2 million left at 33. Not registered. What do you think, Huddie?
Yeah, so they, from what I know, this thing popped because of LUCY back in end of May. They were kind of sympathetic to each other. And since then, STSS has repriced some warrants to some prices. I don't remember the exact, but this is not a good company. Recent run, tons of overhead resistance, trading 300 and 250 million shares into the 70 of 80 cents. So if you are long biased, you're probably looking to get out on this gap up back towards those prices. And two really stark examples of days where this stock gapped up and then closed red and ugly. So is today going to buck the trend and maybe hold 50 cents and break out of 80? Or is today going to end up like the previous 2 days and open at 50 and kind of crash towards 29? I think the odds with dilution and a history of failure, the odds probably probably favor failure. But I'm rooting for it to not. I'm not going to trade this. It's not interesting to me. But I hope there's a world where this is up at 80 cents and anyone shorting this today based off the fundamental nature of this crappy stock is getting squeezed, because that really opens up the door to better opportunity for us all. But right now, it's just not really there for me.
Yeah, this is like the prototypical bag holder chart. I specifically try not to buy stuff that is right into previous resistance. Like we've had like the fade off where I will delete something from my watch list once we break that death line here of like 35 cents. And then these pops back. I know a lot of people like always ask me like, is that a first green day? No, it's not predictable. Like news had to come out today for this to pop up. It wasn't something that is normal technicals that created this move. And we're spiking right into warrants. We're spiking right into resistance. Anyone, like Huddy said, that was in this, it's not like they've had to bag hold for 6 months to decide if they want to get out into a spike. They've probably been down in their position for like a week or two. So the ability to change that from a red number to a green number or a smaller red number, I think is a pretty easy decision. And there's just a lot more volume up here, 100 to 300 mil shares. And maybe it can get going a little bit into the meat of the resistance before, I doubt. I mean, Huddy said maybe it breaks out at 80. I wouldn't bet on that today. But I would love to see it. But as a long biased perspective, don't see a lot here. Wouldn't expect a lot out of this. But those are generally the ones that do something crazy. So do you, not for me. I won't be watching this one this morning. Tom says, is it me or does it always seem like a slow shorting day the day following interest rate news that's positive or neutral?
Probably just you.
Probably just you, Tom. Everything's just you, Tom.
That's okay.
Parker says, thoughts on Roaring Kitty exercising options yesterday? Unless I have seen it, I'm not going to really comment that he has or hasn't, just because I don't know if there's proof, right? Is that the right way to say that?
It's massive speculation. I mean, someone was buying or selling the size contracts for the exact same strike price yesterday. And, it's speculation. It's either Roaring Kitty or it's some really smart short seller that wants to make it appear like Roaring Kitty is selling those calls. Like, you don't really know the facts. Either way, it's not something that Dom and I would make a trade off of. So I don't think we really care. I think we're more in it just for the story at this point and just want to know what's
We're not in it.
Yeah, we're not in it.
We're watching it for the story.
It makes no difference. And even if he was selling, it still makes no difference. So I'm just curious to find out the end of this like crazy legend, but not because I have a personal financial interest in the matter at all. Even if he was selling, it would not change. I would still not trade it.
Yeah, at this point, I just kind of feel like it's either something crazy is going to happen in the next week and this is going to squeeze again 40, 50, 60, or it's a really sad ending to a really fairy tale story that's just going to end in a very sad way.
I don't think it's sad ending because no matter what, we had all of the characteristics of a great story. We had the intro, we had the climax, we had the antithesis, then we had, it came back a little bit. And Now the story has to end with him either going broke or him getting super rich.
I would argue he was already super rich if he can afford those
I would
positions.
argue that as well, by the way.
To me, this last run when he posted those positions just made me kind of feel like, do all the apes really care if he becomes a billionaire now? Like he has
Are you even an
300.
ape at that point?
Yeah, like you are a hedge fund.
Like you better donate all that money back to like Jane Goodall.
We'll see how it shakes out, though. We got what 7 days or next Friday till those expirations are due. So we'll see. A couple questions on CORZ. Bitcoin stock, I believe. Was this Core's Cube before?
Yeah.
So they've uplisted and have gone on a decent little run as Bitcoin's kind of went on a run.
Yeah.
Someone says, what do you think about it for a first red day? If it extends more upcoming or next week? It's kind of like a choppy one.
I think these tickers that are correlated to an underlying asset that also trades 24/7 is always going to make them a bit more choppier and hard to read. But as it stands right now, let's just take it without that information. I don't think this is too extended, kind of exactly what you were saying. We've built up into this $9 level, so there's tons of support in the $8 area. The breakout was in the sevens, the all-time highest breakout from this year. So, I really don't think, being 25% past that level and the way that it's done it, I don't consider this extended. But we are starting to increase volume and kind of expand the range. So you're absolutely right. Like if this does start to maybe push 100% past this 8-7 level, then I start to get interest. And it better do it in like a hurry, in a way where the volume continues to expand, the range starts to speed up and starts to, exhaust itself. And then maybe we have a play. And I don't think any of that is likely to happen. So I'm not counting on it, but I do have a third eye watch on cores for if I do see it in like the 15, 16, 17 area in a day or two, which I can. I really can. I mean, unless Bitcoin breaks out, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Nice mover. I've had it on my list, but like with no intention of playing it. Like this 850s breakout here, it's just not something that I'm interested in. You buy the 850s breakout, you swing, it gaps down to 8s, then continues higher. Then you get kind of a gap the next day and still have these midday pulls that wouldn't be fun to sit through, and just not really something that is a behavior trait of something I want to be in. I want to be in breakouts that I know that once they break out, I could be pretty comfortable in my position, that they should trend higher, stay above VWAP, gap up the next day, those characteristics. And this just doesn't fit that. So it's pretty easy, though. It's an easy watch because it's what Huddie just said. Like it has to do something bigger and better, or else I just won't play it. And that's a good, comfortable position to be in because you're not going to lose on it unless it offers up a really good opportunity.
Yeah. Unless you're like, oh, I can make, like right now, best case, it's like, okay, maybe I make $1 per share with 50 cents of risk. But if that same equation presents itself higher, then I think it's 50 cents of risk for $3 or $4 a share. And I'm more willing to lose on that equation than where it is right now.
Exactly. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. You guys
Are they not hitting the thumbs up button?
They're not hitting the thumbs up button. Oh, I asked them twice. Let's see if anything else has popped up on Scannero. Nothing really there. Any other recent stocks that are moving? Interesting, cool.
Yeah.
What?
IRA.
No thanks.
Okay.
That's not something I want to lose on.
You said something that's moving, interesting, and cool. I think that is all of those things.
Doesn't look cool to me.
It's up in 4.
Yeah, over what? A month and a half? What is this? Energy?
Biotech.
Why is it called Iris Energy?
Maybe it's energy. I don't know. I haven't looked into it at all.
It's an Australian capital markets company. It's a Bitcoin mining company.
Is that what? Oh, that makes more sense.
What is Bitcoin at? I know whatchamacallit. Kyle keeps us up to date on all the Bitcoin stuff. 67,000?
Yeah.
Let me see a chat. Oh, that's up near the highs though. Wow.
That's up there.
It's up there. That's cool. Trey asked about ASTS. Kind of talked about this on my webinar on Tuesday a lot. I'm just kind of done with it. I was interested in the first potential one following the really nice breakout over the 570s, but now it just looks like a mid to higher cap stock that is just trending up and very not predictable. I mean, this basically bounce day turns into a breakout that's followed up by a horrible green day. Now we're kind of consolidating there. It's possible that it goes on a bigger move, and I wouldn't count it out, but actually participating in that without just sitting in the stock and hoping that no bad news comes out and it gaps down 70%. This just reminds me a lot of like IMUX, that loss I took in 2022, where it looks like it's safe, like there's support in the 8s and 9s, but at 4 o'clock one day, it just gaps down to 4 because it is up a lot over the past month or two. It's just not the style of trade I want to take, especially in a slower market. Volume's not that impressive. Even on this most recent breakout day, you can see the volume's not increasing like it at least was attempting on breakouts in the past. So I'm not watching this one anymore.
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's two ways to look at it, but the past two times it's broken out. So, 2 days ago, as well as June 5th.
6-5.
Yeah, you've experienced a situation where you're long, it goes above the breakout level by like 5%, not even, and then it, closes weak or it gaps down the next day. So in both circumstances, those are kind of like failure results where like it didn't really continue forward. It didn't really have a gap up and continuation spike. And how many times do you really want to buy the highs only for it to gap down and not work before you realize that this is maybe just not a stock that's breaking out, or maybe we're closer to the highs? I think that's one way to look at, like, it's failing, right? That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, we really haven't cleared all of the levels from even after hours and pre-market, and maybe the days that maybe there's a world where it goes sideways here and breaks out of 1025 and actually does speed up. But as far as market cap goes and past history, it's not something that I'm playing. But if it works, it works.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be watching it. I just probably won't be playing it. Alrighty, well that's 9:16. Thank you guys for being here this morning on a slow day, hoping and praying that tomorrow is better. Maybe next week we'll get some more momentum. You never know. Fridays these days have been pretty crazy, Thursday to Friday. We'll see if we get any momentum in the meme world or if anything starts to run. We'll keep you updated on that as well. We will be live tomorrow morning, 8:45 a.m. for our last episode of Good Morning NASDAQ this week. You'll have myself and Huddie, and we are looking forward to it. Huddie, you have a webinar with 4-leaf clovers here at 11 a.m.
I do.
Doing something different this week where all of us are given individual ones, so you get more access to each of us and our fun qualities. We had me on Tuesday, Kyle Wednesday, Huddie on Thursday. I can't believe this week's still going on. It is slow. But I hope you all have a safe trading day. Enjoy some weather. Enjoy some studying time if the market isn't there for you today. And maybe check out link in the description to our Clover Trading Virtual Bootcamp, which is coming up next week. You can get access all the way up till the day of. And really take advantage of your education. Really hoping by that time we have a little bit more momentum, something to do on the live trading day on the Monday, on the 24th. But we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful, wonderful